could be quite easy. Sorry, carry on.
That's all right. And once I've got my clients on board, I'm confident I'm a good coach. I've got a good service. I've got clients that have been with me for like 2+ years, and
Good.
quite a big chunk of those. My issue is getting bites. So imagine we're fishing, it's getting the actual bite.
Yeah.
Once I get that carp, I reel it in pretty much every time, and it stays in the boat. But
Yeah.
actually getting the bites is what I'm struggling with. I'll admit that.
What's your Instagram handle, Tom?
It's at Thomas. Or will it be easier if I put it in here so you can
Uh,
just copy and paste it?
Obviously, I appreciate I can happily throw in my 2 cents. But obviously, I know that I'm not Archie. It's not what my call is necessarily for. But I'll throw in my thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, some decent results here, which is good. That's a good start.
yeah.
Um, Shahid's a good result.
Yeah. He's still with me. He's been with me for 2.5 years now.
Shane's also good results. There's a couple of good results in here, which is great. You're putting out social proof fairly regularly, which is good. Um, like the thing when it comes like to is everything you're doing at the moment short form content?
As in on Instagram.
Yeah, is mostly your content Instagram?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So like, and this is something like so to go through. Let me open a new whiteboard. How many people are booking in calls and leads with you per week? Do you think, or per month?
Um, per month, we're probably looking at, I'll be lucky at the moment, 3 or 4, which is what's really, really frustrating.
Yeah. Uh, so like you've all seen like a sales funnel right here. So you got all these people here that um no idea who you are, and then you could basically take people that know who you are, take them from there to cold lead, and then we're going to take them through to warm. Then we're looking at inquiry, purchase, right? So if you're looking at sort of bites, and again, like I know, for example, for my business at the moment in time, I've I'm kind of in a way running 2 businesses, right? So I'm managing the gym here in Miami, which is going incredibly well. We've basically taken 82 grand in the last like 2.5 months.
You got
Uh,
any job there? Miami sounds good.
it's all right, mate. It's not my favorite city in the world, but there's
Yeah.
definitely a huge opportunity here for people. So essentially, you're taking from the people that come onto your Instagram have no idea who you are, right? So the first thing when it comes to like bite is enough people seeing your content.
Mm.
Now, this is not my area of expertise. I'm not a social media guy, but obviously there's an element of this is whether that's hooks, whether that's going and following different accounts to get people out there, whether that's working with affiliates, that's obviously more Archie's realm. That just gets more people into the funnel, into the ecosystem. Now, the thing where I've noticed a shift is I've put more of my priority and energy into my 1PT business. My SME business is still absolutely firing on all cylinders from a quality perspective. It's just the marketing has taken a back step whilst I'm trying to build this thing.
Yeah.
Is that the thing that's dropped for me is long form content. I was running the podcast, I was having a bit of YouTube, and I just felt that the quality of my leads went down dramatically. So
After you got the long form.
after I'd cut rid of the long form content.
Right,
So
okay.
how are people who have now if not one is it's the problem that not enough people are coming into your ecosystem. Looking at where your followers are, 40, let's say 14, 50, right? So you haven't got a huge following, but you've definitely got enough of a following potentially to get more eyes on your product and to make a thriving business.
Yeah.
So like from there, you could look at like, okay, where are you? I help men who feel lost or gain confidence. So like you one thing with young men, when you say young men, what age are you looking at?
Anywhere from like 25 to 40.
Okay. So I'm assuming most of your clients are probably within the 33 to 40 bracket rather than the 25 to 33 bracket?
Yes.
Yes, because I'm assuming like if you're unless you're charging yourself really, really cheap, most people 25, unless doing really well, can't afford a luxury
Yeah.
item like coaching, right? So what are these people that have got money? Where are they going to find them? So look at even if it's just like do you just do online or do you one to one as well?
Just online.
Just online. I would still look to a degree in the local area, just like local barbershops, WeWorks, so people are like CEOs. Could I follow people that look in my niche from Omega, right? Aston Martin, like these aspirational brands that like young playboys are going to probably want to buy stuff in. Like
Yeah.
seriously, like look at Miami beach clubs. I'm not even joking. Look at this market because there are a lot of young people who love to train here. And if you can get into like start following people in Joya Beach Club, start following people in the Standard, Soho House. These are where your kind of demographic like to hang out. Um, so like that's getting more people in your ecosystem, and then it's obviously just making sure your content's good enough that people pay attention to it.
Hmm.
With your outreach, how many people do you message a day?
So following the guidance from the mentorship, I'm messaging any new followers
Yeah.
or comments on my posts, and so it will average. Let's just say 10. 10's an easy number that it averages. I did have a period where I was having paid ads and a marketing company also looking after things. And
Mhm.
to be honest, I'm still with them, but because he's my the guy who's doing it is basically my cousin's best man from his wedding.
Okay.
So it's a bit more of a personal relationship rather than, working with a company. And
Yeah.
he's on holiday at the moment. So I said, right, I'd just been on holiday. So I said, right, whilst we're both sort of holidaying, let's have a little pause and break so we're not interrupting each other. And when he gets back,
Sure.
we'll discuss what the
And that,
plan
that
moving
gets more people into the funnel, right? So at 1PT, a lot of our, nearly all of our stuff has come through paid advertising. And our
forward.
paid advertising, our CEO is very good at it, and he's got a couple of ad companies that he's worked with for many years. So they know him, they know the message, they know the product, and a lot of that's come from the quality of our results. Like
Yeah,
giving paid ads without good results, it's just throwing money away, right? So
yeah, yeah,
people are coming in, they're seeing the results, like, oh my god, is that actually possible? They reach out, and then that's essentially how we get warmer clients, is because our results is good enough to make people to go through the layers of, well, I have a million coaches in my DMs. Why should I trust this guy?
yeah,
Well, your content having like even I know a lot of people say we shouldn't you shouldn't post social proof as much because it doesn't get good engagement. It's like, yeah, but you're not shooting for virality. You're shooting for someone. The difference between you and a coach is a similar amount of followers, similar amount of education you, but with zero results, is they might follow his content more, but they're never going to DM that guy. They'll DM you because the amount of social proof you put up. So think of like, can I get those people I've got pick before and after photos with? Can I get video testimonials? Can I get like video shots of lifting big heavy weights that they couldn't do before? Like, how many ways can I show that I've got quality? Could I do a little breakdown for a minute of what I did for this program? My clients, Chad, who lost 20 kilos for me, came in with knee pain. This is what I did with his training. Like showing stories about how you can help those people.
yeah,
That now takes it from this person knows what a calorie deficit is, like every coach, to this person has helped hundreds of people like me, and I'm going to take his content, I'm going to use it, I'm going to try it. And then
yeah,
with regards to your outreach, like Alex Hormozi actually, I know everyone's a big Alex Hormozi fan these days, but like he said, like the rule of 100, you either spend $100 a day on ads or you message 100 people a day. So I think while messaging new followers, people that comment on your post is a good start, if that's not something that's happening on a regular basis, you're not getting 50, 100 new followers a day, then where am I going to find people? Can I talk to old leads that I spoke to? Can I re-engage conversations? Can I just start commenting on people's posts that are in my niche? Like if I can, even if it's not for trying to get a sale, playing the long game and talking to people, like if you talk to me in the DMs, you'll probably see more of my content appear on your feed because you're interacting with me. So Instagram put me there. So it's like,
right. Okay.
how do you get yourself in front of your potential clients frequently? It is never pushing for a sale. It's just, I see more of your content. Now I see some of your stories. Oh, okay, this guy's quite good. Now I sign up to his email list. The email list is long form content. Oh, I've made a YouTube video about how to lose weight whilst traveling. DM results for the full video. They watched a YouTube video. They now click on another YouTube video. They're now chatting to you in the DMs because they've asked for the full YouTube video link. And now over time, you become part of their daily routine. I'm sure you've purchased something from somebody, like whether it's a course or a product or merch, that you've watched them on YouTube every day. You feel like you know them, and any product they would have put out, you would have bought because,
Mm.
like, for example, totally off topic. I watch a wrestling YouTube channel called Wrestle Talk every single day. When they did a watch along party, even though it was a really awkward thing for me to go and do, I bought tickets. I bought merch. Like that's the kind of ecosystem you want. They say it takes about 7 hours of absorbing someone's content for someone to be in a position to buy. So how quickly can you do that? Or even if it takes a year, they go, I like that guy. I don't need a personal trainer, but I like Tom. And then all of a sudden they see a picture of themselves on the beach. And then they're feeling bad about themselves. Then they go on Instagram. And guess who's on the top left-hand side of the stories? You. And that's why like trying to get speaking to people frequently is really, really important. Um,
Okay.
and then once you've got people warm, how many of those warm leads, like, so the first button you track is how many new followers you're getting. And if not, how do I hunt for new followers? I could do that through boosted posts. I could do that through getting myself out there, going to networking events, going to private members clubs and chatting to people like Soho House or whatever. I know that's an expense. It could be doing podcasts. Like, how do I get myself in front of more people? It could be just spending time following similar accounts and hoping half of them follow me back. And then I start a conversation. Then how do I turn them from cold to warm? So that cold to warm is like, how many outreach messages am I doing? Am I doing long form content? Am I getting warmer conversation, the DMs as I go? Then from warm to inquiry is how many offers am I putting out? So like once a couple of times a week in the stories or the DMs, like if I look through your posts, when was the last time you said, I've got spots to work with me? And because coaches don't want to be salesy, they just never do it. Right? They
Mm.
create value, 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 value. And obviously we don't want sell, 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 sell. But if you look at your competitors, nearly all of them will have an ad for I've got an opening in this product. I've got an opening in this product. I'm looking for a couple of people, or if you're wanting to solve this problem, DM this. So, like, how many times you actually in the DMs or publicly or in your stories saying, "Hey, look, I actually have a product to buy," because there's lots of people I follow on Instagram that have no idea they're even selling something because they never ask. So eventually, you need to say, "Hey, do you want to buy my shit?" Otherwise, people won't buy your shit.
Yeah.
And then, like, from there, right, if you're getting inquiries, how many of those inquiries are actually purchasing? And this is something that I've learned very much from doing this job at 1PT. I wasn't sure. I was never confident in my ability to sell. I didn't think I was a good salesman because while I was doing all right in SMU, I was making I made six figures in the last year. I definitely knew my product was better than what I was earning. So I was like, oh, I'm
Mm.
obviously not a good salesman. I've now done this product where leads are coming in the door more frequently. And we have my partner, Lauren, who has worked for VA for a few coaches. She's got great customer service skills. And she does all the outreach and lead nurture. And we've now take people in that inquire. We give them a confirmation message to say that they've inquired. So like, we're looking forward to seeing you. Here's the address. We then send them a PDF. The PDF goes through what's the consultation process going to be about. Here's some results. So you kind of get an idea of like getting excited. So now we can track how many people book a call versus show up to a call. And if there's not many, we know there's maybe a nurture problem or the ads need changing. And then how many people that book in a sales consultation buy. And it's from that and note tracking all these avenues that I went, actually, Jesus Christ, I close almost every sale. My problem is
Mhm.
not a sales issue. My problem is a marketing issue. So like with your products, how does your products work?
In terms of my
Yeah,
program,
like prices. Yeah.
so prices wise, it's 225 per month, and then if someone, I won't offer them on like the call for a full sign up, like a 3 month or 6 month sign up. But if they inquire about that, because at the moment I prefer to have people on a subscription.
Yeah.
But then obviously if they want to go down that route, then we discuss like a bit of a deal for them. But yeah,
Yeah.
blanket 25 per month.
I'm not a big fan of. I think you get good at a high ticket before you do a low ticket. But sort of this is where I'd sort of look at. Um, this is sort of my funnel now. Is so like, how do we get people um, trusting you as quickly as possible? So let's say we had. So from here, we've now got Short form is how people get to know you. This is your Instagram. They come in now into a long form content of some sort. That could be your email list if you don't like typing. That could be YouTube. That could be a podcast. From there, you have links in your bio. You maybe have something in your caption. They go, okay, I'm now going to send you a free lead magnet. Lead magnets get people to trust you more. So let's say you follow my Instagram. Let's say you watch some of my podcast. Let's say then I talk to you in the DMs. You're not ready to buy. Be like, do you know what? I'll do Simon's mini course. I do Simon's training mini course. I'm like, no, this is quite good. This has really helped my clients. I'm gonna start following more of my Simon's content. I'm gonna keep chatting to Simon, but maybe I'm not willing to put 297 a month away to become a better coach yet. But I do feel I want something. Okay, well from here, join my email list, and I'll send you something every single week that helps you become a better coach. You read through them, you kind of get more of the ecosystem. Maybe you get another lead magnet, and then you go, I'm still not ready, but maybe I'll join Simon's signature systems product, which is 350. Okay, I've now got a £350 product. I can now put that in place. Oh my God, my results are getting better. Oh, but I don't know how to deal with this troublesome case. Okay, now I'm going to come to this. And like in this sense here, people that are in your email list, people that book merch as your lead magnets, people that are maybe in a slightly lower ticket product are the people that are most likely to buy this rather than people that are coming in the funnel up here.
Mm-hmm.
So your goal with your marketing, and this is something I'm learning now the hard way, is not about it's about getting more people into here, but it's not about selling to these people. It's not about selling this. It's about how do I get these people here? Because once I get these people in this middle channel, it's going to be so much easier to get them to sell the big product.
Yeah, yeah. You basically that at that point gaining the trust, right?
Yeah, exactly that. And you don't have to feel as salesy because everything you do feels like you're helping somebody.
Mm.
If you went to your audience of 40, like if you took 50 people and just went, um, look, I'm looking to help like 10 people a day with their health and fitness. I have this to give away for free. Would you like it? And you might say people, but might have some people say no, but how many people say no to free stuff? If I came
Yeah.
to you and look, I've got a resource that's going to help you um, dramatically improve your client results, you're probably not going to tell me to fuck off. I'm not even charging you for it. And if you did that with, you know, 50 ego-driven 25-year-olds that, I've got the Rolls Royce and the Omega watch and the Rolex and the Beach Club membership. Some of them are going to say yes. And then you go, hey, how do you get on with that? And you never try and sell, you just talk until they go, so tell me about your product. And then you go into whatever DM script that Archie's probably already given you.
Mm.
Hopefully that's helpful. I know I'm not the business guy, but hopefully it's given you a bit of stuff.
No, it's good. It gives me some new ideas for sure. I mean, I have got lead magnets that I do sort of offer out and stuff. And regarding longer form content, I have thought about it myself, and I've also been suggested to put I do client education videos
Mhm.
where it'd be all it would be like a PowerPoint and a loom of me running through the PowerPoint. So
Yeah.
at least I'm there and they can see me, can see what I'm about, and it's on a particular topic like managing your weekend,
I
without.
don't think you don't run an education product, you run a coaching product. So if you
Mm,
think about those videos, they're an add-on. And here's the thing I find is that like a lot of coaches try and create this education product and they're like, why didn't none of my clients show up to my webinar? The fact that you're doing it pre-recorded as a Loom is a good idea. It's because
mm,
clients come to you because it's overwhelming. They don't want to think about nutrition. They do not give a fuck about what the moment arm of the bicep curl is, right? They don't. You care about that because you're a nerd and a coach and like we love this stuff. Clients don't. So like no one is ever going to pay as much attention to your education stuff as you are. So
mhm,
actually, that's actually better as a front-facing thing than a client thing. And it's if you put nearly all of those up on YouTube and put a nice little thumbnail on it, none of your clients are going to go, well, what am I paying for then? Because what they're actually paying for is not a loom of you talking about how to navigate social occasions. They're paying
mm,
for the actual help with their specific social occasion. They're paying for the guidance and support that you give them. They're paid for you being able to help them when they're struggling and when they're overwhelmed. They're paying for you to teach them to be patient. They're paying for you to take the guesswork out. So you can put all of those education videos, make them YouTube content that your clients have access to in one easy place and not have to filter through your YouTube.
yeah.
But there you go. That's YouTube. And you can then you can put clips of that on your social media. You can if people want to watch the full clip, they can go to your YouTube, or I've just made a YouTube video on how to dramatically improve your squatting technique.
Mm.
Do you want the link? Click this sticker. Everyone clicks the sticker, send them the link. You've never asked for money. You just
Yeah,
ask volunteers, and then you just start chatting to all those people that clicked it. Hey, how was the squat? Did it help?
yeah, it's a good idea.
Hmm.
Is that the way I describe it? It's like a Temu version of Mike Israel's YouTube channel.
Yeah. And then like the biggest and this is my thing, right? I've sat there and because I'm so busy, I've never been so busy this busy in my whole entire life that I've procrastinated on doing long form content because I generally don't have the time. Every time I put an hour aside for YouTube videos, someone books in a consultation or someone needs to talk to me, right? Or a construction worker walks in or the roofing team walk in. But I'm very perfectionist in the sense of like I know the quality of the videos I used to make within my SMU portal. I had a webcam that moved and found the whiteboard or zoomed into my skeleton and I had a cool backdrop. So now just having like a really shit backdrop like my living room, I'm like, I can't use this as a YouTube video. And I'm like, that's why I'm not getting more content out there. If I filmed a video just like this, it would not compare to Casey Neistat or Mike Israel, but it doesn't need to. Mike Israel's video probably grainy as hell on an iPhone, but then over time you start doing that, then you're going, what happens if I put a light here? What happens if I
Mm.
get a black backdrop? What happens if like it's almost just like start doing those things. And even if it's like 30 minutes, you're just chatting about a topic and just putting them up. It's just consistency.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I've
Go
only
on.
got 167 that I can straight away get uploaded. So
Yeah, like
yeah,
just drip feed them. Like do one today, do like two, three a week. Do one today, do one Monday, do one Thursday, do one Monday, do one Thursday. And then over time you can start
yeah.
adding. Like I know someone who did a did a podcast today for like 2 years and it transformed his business. It was just him talking about a topic about health. And that's the thing, like if you record it, and the great thing about YouTube is your long form content then can be splintered into different things. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to make my office not a store closet for the gym, but as soon as that's the case, I'll find a bit of time a week and I'll just record me chatting about a topic. And in that thing now, I can now have that as a YouTube video. I can upload that as a podcast for audio. I can now transcribe that via AI, and I can make that into an email. And I could then take those, split it into any key quotes that I've made, and I can make that into threads post or quote post on Instagram. I can then take the clips from that because I'll use Riverside to record it, which is my podcast platform. They create AI clips. I can use those AI clips and then I can put them onto Instagram.
Mm.
So like that one video becomes this massive boatload of content that we can use each week.
Yeah. Okay. That's exciting. Yeah. All right. I'll let you know how it goes
Yeah.
because
As
that'd be
regards to coaching, like actual coaching stuff, like what is your biggest struggle right now? I know you obviously get pretty good results to this. Where do you struggle?
Hmm.
Or do you have any clients that you are particularly a pain in your ass right now?
No, I've not got any at the moment, which is good. I suppose one thing that does come up now and then, and you probably get it, you've probably experienced it a thousand times yourself. But when you've got a client who he's putting in all the work and he's not a troublesome client at all. Like he's bang on, he does everything. He's maybe have to be a bit flexible because of his sort of work and whatever. But it just doesn't seem to be, losing the expected body fat that you'd think.
Yeah.
And I'm really against like my philosophy. I don't like taking people down to extreme diets, especially when they're got such a busy lifestyle. So this guy that I'm kind of referring to is in the police, and he has quite an active job where he does
Sure.
raids and stuff. So not be sensible to put him on a really low calorie diet because he needs the energy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I want to, and I know what I have to do. And with this guy, I know it's not going to be an issue because he trusts me. I've known him since I was, through footballs as a kid. But when it comes up to other clients, when I know the right thing to do is actually we need to, well, you can tell me different, but we need to gain muscle to build up your metabolism, build up your energy, build some muscle. Then, at a later date, we can come back into a cut. And it's
Yeah.
that kind of message obviously sometimes, especially to someone who's like so set on wanting to get shredded or just wanting to get leaner is hard to sometimes, well, basically lay it out in front of them, and that's how it has to be.
Yeah.
So what would you say is to encounter when you encounter that issue with a client? What's the
Okay.
best way
The
around it?
first thing, the first thing I'd probably look at is maybe a little bit of a reframe here when it comes to what we define as low calories. How heavy is this guy?
85 kilos.
85. He's about 160 pounds, right?
Yeah.
And what is let me take this convert off. So 85 kilos times 2.2, 108, 887 pounds. What calories have you got him on?
He's on 1850 at the moment.
Okay, okay, so about 10 calories a pound, which is not I would have done something very similar to that. And was he losing weight before?
Yes, he lost. He's come down 4 kilos since we started, and we started at the end of, well, mid April.
So for mid-April, so let's say we've got 2 weeks in April, then 4 weeks, so 6 weeks if we look at whole of May, and then 10 weeks. So in 10 weeks, he lost 4 kilos, right?
But I will also add though, whilst we've had this period of, because it's been about a month that his weight's not really moved, his body composition is clearly changing, which is,
Sure,
and he notices it. Like he says, like, it's motivating me. I can see my body changing, but at the same time, like there is body fat to lose. I can still see that, and
sure.
having
Has these measurements come down? Have you looked at waist circumference, anything like this? Body.
yeah, look, they've come a little bit down. Again, not as in the last month, not as I'd expect.
Sure.
In terms of speed. And I know that's not always the case. And this guy, I'm just using this guy more as a reference because I know there's going to be another client in the future that goes through the same issue and won't be as understanding.
Yeah, sure. So you're looking at him losing a percent of his body weight per week. He's
Mm,
probably going to be out at 0.8, right? That's probably what our target is roughly supposed to be. He's lost um 4 kilos, which means he's probably about 0.5% of his body weight per week. Now, it's not terrible, but I agree with you. It's probably not where we want. Now, the first thing you always got to ask this. Now, actually, I'll share some slides for this because I've got this I'll go through a quick fire. We go into this in much more detail in SMU, but I'll go through a quick fire of this presentation about making adjustments because I do think this is important to go through it. Is when you're looking at data, you want to be able to work out, okay, someone has stalled. What is the reason they have stalled? And I don't care if someone's taken their fish oil or not, if they're eating more food than they think. And 90% of the time when someone stalls, it's down to an adherence issue. So getting data
mm,
is going to be your most important thing in your tool in your toolbox. So the reasons why you make adjustments to people's diets are the initial estimation was off, or the deficit is no longer big enough. The deficit no longer being big enough might be sort of 100 kilo person becomes 80 kilos, an 80 kilo person's maintenance is smaller than a 100 kilo person. Or over time, we see a down regulation in total daily energy expenditure. NEAT drops because we start not moving as much. Thermic effect of food drops because we're not eating as much food. We might get a slight reduction in muscle mass, but obviously we're trying to prevent that as much as possible. And we'll start to see drops in BMR, like drops in thyroid, drops in testosterone, particularly as we get very, very lean and leptin signaling becomes less. We're going to see a greater drop in thyroid. So we are going to start to see a down regulation in metabolic rate. Now, that being said, does this client have any symptoms outside of slow weight loss? Has their energy been low? Have they had any gut issues like slow digestion? Are they cold? Have they lost libido? Is there anything else other than slow weight loss being shown?
no, everything else is positive. Like his numbers in the gym are flying up quite consistently. His energy surprisingly really good, despite his, just to give you some background on his sort of work schedule, it's quite inconsistent. So, for example, on Wednesday, he got a call out for a raid and didn't get home till 4 a.m.
Sure.
So, his sleep is inconsistent in terms of schedule, but he gets good sleep. He's quite good
Yeah.
at adjusting. So,
There might
but
be a
yeah,
little bit of stress and water retention holding there. Obviously, that won't shouldn't be a consistent thing, but it might temporarily blunt the scale weight. Um, so, like, if the initial estimation is off, or the big thing to remember is that whether we're using the most advanced calorie calculator or just multiplying body weight by 10 to 12, we arrive at an educated guess. So
Yeah.
BMR can be less than predicted based on a number of factors, including, but not exclusive to, client moves more than they think, client moves less than they think. This could impact what our estimate is. But also, if we look a little bit deeper, allostatic load, the amount of stress somebody's on, could impact someone's BMR. So they're still in a caloric deficit, but they're burning less calories because the body's under stress. They're not as metabolically flexible. There's a ton of fucking toxins in the body. But that being said, most stalls are adherence issues and mistakes. And if you're looking at a client that's been with you 8 to 10 weeks now, I'm not saying that your client is lying to you, but I say most coaches are overly trusting because they want to help people and they believe that their clients wouldn't lie and they don't want us to be bad about people. But we've got to understand most people eat. Most of weight loss is being able to manage emotional eating. And if you were like, I know coaches that have coaches. I've been that person where I've eaten and I didn't want to tell my coach that I ate that because I didn't want to admit to myself that I ate emotionally, and I didn't want to admit to my coach that I failed them. And if we're doing that, your client's going to do that. And it might not be because they're lying to you and they don't respect you. They might be not telling you something because they respect you and they don't want to feel like they've let you down. Also, your client might think they're on it. Registered dietitians are off by 20% in tracking. So with personal trainers. So people could be off 40, 50% because they don't know what's in sources or portion sizes. And if we go through a transformation, week one, when this client first started, he was probably having 116.93784 grams of chicken. But as we get to week 6 to 10, clients are like, yeah, that looks about right. And it's but it's the same as what I did on week one. But the scoops become bigger and the portion sizes have crept up. So a couple of questions you might ask. Are you still weighing your portion sizes? Right? Could you take food pictures for the next 3 days? And I just want to see if this matches up to your food diaries. And I think that's a skill that I think every coach should do in the first 3 to 4 weeks with any client is look at food photos, because just because they tell you they're on 1600 doesn't mean you have any idea. If you went to their job and worked in an accountancy firm or a law firm and they gave you their tech systems, you would make a bunch of mistakes if you weren't taught. Same thing with clients and tracking macros. So like looking at food pictures will be a massive, massive thing here. Now, if a client's no longer in a deficit, the first thing we want to track is how many metrics can we track to know if this weight stall is actually something to be concerned of. So weekly average body weight. If you're taking, do you take weight daily or weekly?
I get them to do it for what they prefer. I prefer average.
Yep, same.
Average, but I know it doesn't. Some of my clients weigh themselves at the gym and things like that. So I just say
Sure.
whatever works best for you.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think if someone starts to stall, I would be a little bit more directed in terms of, okay, for the next week, could you weigh it daily so we know what's fluctuations? It could just be you're always high on a Monday, but you're actually losing weight.
Yeah.
So we can dial in a bit more. So you've got calories, macros, activity, food pictures, how many meals out have they had, right? They might think they're on 600 calories because they ate chicken and broccoli, but they ate chicken and broccoli at fucking Burger King and it's deep fried and it's covered in dressing, right? Is someone stressed? We can track resting heart rate. That could actually tell us whether someone's actually stressed, or whether they're just sneaking cookies and they're not telling you. We can look at body fat assessments, circumference measurements, things like this, right? Menstrual cycle, obviously that's not for this guy. So first off, like you've already established, and this might be the case because someone will watch this back, so I know you do this, you need a weekly target. If you don't have a weekly target, you have no idea whether someone is off track or not. And I see so many coaches like, they're not lean yet. I don't know, let's drop 50 grams of potatoes. Like, how do you know if they're on track? So whenever you look at the data, you need a reason or an adjustment. Too many coaches wait and see. It's like, I hope they lose weight next week. I hope they lose weight next week, because they don't really know and they're confused. And then week 10 comes along and the client doesn't renew because they haven't lost any weight. And it's because you've sat in your hands for 6 weeks. So every time you look at a check-in, I want you to either say, this is the reason why someone's not losing weight, or what adjustment do I need to make? And 9 times out of 10, it'll be an adherence issue. So the better you get at asking good questions, the better you'll get good answers. So the 3 times of questions I often ask clients are open questions. So if I want a fact find, I look at the diary and the weight spiked up on Monday. Could just be stress, could be water retention, could be whatever, right? Could be they just need a big poo. But I'm going to ask questions. Hey, I noticed that there's no tracking on Saturday and your weight spiked up on Sunday. Tell me about Saturday. Oh yeah, I got up in the morning, had some eggs. Oh, fantastic. What did you do afterwards? Oh, I went to work and then I came back around lunchtime. Oh, awesome. Did you do anything in the afternoon? Oh, yeah, I went to the cinema. Oh, great. What did you see? More open question, but now I'm filling it in. Oh, I saw this movie. Okay, which cinema did you go to? Oh, that one, down the high street. Okay, great. Um, did you eat there or eat at home? Now that's a this or that question. I'm now not giving them open answers to talk around it. It's like, cool, did you eat there or did you eat home? I ate there. Okay, brilliant. What did you have? Oh, well, there was only pizza available. But that, okay, let me Google. Oh, okay, there's a salad bar there. There was a Nando's there. Why have you not gone for those options? So we're just getting rid of those excuses and we're just finding out what those answers are by just leading people down the garden path with our questioning rather than did you stick to the diet? Because if
Yeah.
they don't want to admit it to you, they'll just say yes. And then when you're sure it's not an adherence issue, that's when you make a change. So to run through a little framework that I give all the SMU coaches, which allows them to kind of like filter through this stuff. First one, has weight loss dropped below target? Yes or no? If no, we just quickly have a look to make sure there's no red flags. They haven't pooped in 3 days or their energy's through the floor, right? If they're all good and the weights have dropped, give them a big thumbs up. Say like double down next week. Excellent. If the weight has dropped below target, we now go into detective mode. And now we go, right, has the circumference measurements or calipers or body fat assessment also dropped below target? Let me just see who goes in. Okay. So if it's yes, right, then we now start to look at why someone has stalled. If it's no, for example, your guy, if waist circumference come down, strength's going up, their body fat percentage is coming down, then maybe they're building some muscle, which is brilliant. This won't happen forever. They'll need to drop eventually, but let's ride the wave while we can. If
Yeah.
not, the first thing we don't want to do is accuse them of lying. So is their nutrition in line with targets? So I've set them some calories, proteins, carbs, fats. How does their average calories align with this? If it's off and they're openly telling you it's off, right, we can go, oh, okay, this week I want you to add an extra scoop of protein powder, or hey, can you just half the rice portion in your lunch? And it's important to talk in people. Don't go, can you take 25 grams of carbs? I was like, can you half the rice portion? Can you take
Yeah.
a quarter of the avocado out? If the nutrition looks on paper good, right? We move on to the next thing. Does activity line up with targets? Is their steps or their cardio in line with what you said? If not, we set a target, not do 2,000 steps. Like, could you go for a 20-minute walk in the morning? Could you get up from your desk every hour for 10 minutes and walk around the office? If the activity does line up with targets, now we start to look at adherence issues. And adherence issues are more common than you think. And I think with this, it's either subconscious or conscious. So the first one I look at is tracking how many meals out did you have. So if you don't have it in your data forms or if you don't have it in your check-ins, how many meals out are there? This is a great question to put in because it will really teach you how many people are actually trying to justify that they're more on it than they want to make. They know they actually are. So if they
So
say,
I,
go on.
I'm sorry, Simon. Just whilst you say that, because it's a good point. I do have a question, and it states it's the first question. Has there been any instances of you being off plan? But would you say this may be a more direct question like this? How many meals
Maybe.
out this
Yeah, I
week?
don't. I think I like both questions. I don't want to overwhelm check-in forms. Any off-plan meals sound good. Like I do quite like that. That requires an element of trust because they might feel like you're questioning them. Whereas your on-it clients that are really invested are going to tell you, "Yeah, I had this, this, and this," or "No, I didn't." But if a client sometimes feels like they're going to get told off for this, they might not say anything. Hey, have there been any meals out this week? You've not insinuated that there's a problem with that. I'm just knowing is there any.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you start to see someone that's gone from 1 meal out per week to 5 meals out per week, and they're still apparently on 1,400 calories, now the question is either we need to make better choices of these meals out, or we need to bring these meals out down. What's the easier option for them? And we can make that solution. And that's the
Mm.
easiest way to see if there's any adherence issues because it's so trackable. Like I ate at prep for lunch every day. I had 5 business dinners. Right. I don't need to adjust calories. It's clear that you're just eating more than you think you are. And if they track meals out, I always say add 20%. So if you had a thousand
That's
calorie meal,
what I say. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So just to give them a bit of what I call a fudge factor. Now, the next thing is, do you feel tracking has been accurate? And most of the time, for most clients, assume no. So what are you looking for here? Is there any overly round numbers? So let's say someone's had exactly 9,000 steps every single day. So like you were on 8,999 steps and then jumped into bed. Now, you might have just rounded up to the nearest thousand. It could be 5 steps more, and I don't care. But it shows a lack of attention to detail. And that is a problem that festers into other areas of their life. So I've seen people say, I see people putting an asparagus spear that was 10,000 calories in MyFitnessPal. Now, that means they actually were under eating. But what does that show? If they didn't notice that, it shows they were rushing it. If they were rushing that, what else were they rushing? I've seen people put 1 ounce of steak. Who eats 1 ounce of steak? I've seen people put 11 and a half cashews, a third of a glass of wine. So do the food diaries look a little bit suspect? If you're looking at the data, are you seeing people on 80 grams of fat, 80 grams of fat, 80, never 79, never 81? Are you seeing days that are missed? Right? And then a big weight spike. Are you seeing someone that apparently has really high energy and no hunger, but according to their tracking was on 600 calories and 4 grams of protein? If it seems too good to be true, it probably is, right? And be brutal with it. Like I was always like, have you had any meals out? Have you weighed your portions? Is there any missed days? Like I would ask, is it an adherence issue? No. Isn't an adherence issue? No. Isn't an adherence issue? No. Isn't an adherence issue? No. In different ways. So I'm absolutely fucking positive. And even then, I'll probably get food photos just to make sure for a week, and then I'll make my adjustment. And if there's any, then at the last point, is there any issue with biomarkers? Coaches go to biomarkers way too quickly. Oh, it's probably sleep. It's probably cortisol. It's probably thyroid. Imagine a hormone like the petrol in a Formula One race car. The petrol doesn't just evaporate when you go around the corner. You just come to a halt. You'll see someone gradually slow down in their car, and you'd hear an engine splutter. Just like thyroid, if you're losing 1%, losing 1%, losing 1%, stop, it's probably an adherence issue. If they've lost and they lost a bit less, then they did a better week, then it was a slightly less week, then a slightly best week, then a slightly less week, then a slightly better week, then a slightly less week. And they just over time just gradually slowed down. And then their energy was poor and they're a little bit cold even when it's hot outside. Okay, now I'm going to start looking deeper. Because people blame these things, a horrible analogy. But like you see people in children need adverts, none of them are going, it's really difficult being starving. I'm gaining so much body fat. They're pretty fucking stressed, but they're still losing weight and are still skin and bones. Calorie deficits still work. Now, could it mask results temporarily? Sure. So if you get to biomarker stage, you go, time of the month for a girl. I'm not going to make an adjustment because I think it'll drop next week. But if it doesn't drop next week, and I go through this whole process again, adjustment. It's a particularly stressful period. Cool. How long is the stress going to go on for? Probably about 3 months. Okay, is it better to pull to maintenance for a while just so they make it easier for you? Yes, great. Or it's only going to last a week. Great. Here's some things I think will help manage your stress. If next week nothing happens, we adjust. Like have a 2-week rule and be brutal with it. And when it comes to like not wanting to go low on calories, I think like true personal training should be based on what's the data the client's giving you, what's the goal that they're looking for, and assuming that and understanding that people aren't skilled. So I see a lot of coaches go, I think I've got it on this slide. Like, so just to recap, and I'll go into that because I think I've actually got slides about it. So is weight loss below target, yes or no? Have the circumference measurements progressed, yes or no? Is nutrition in line with tracker? Is activity in line with targets? How many meals out of the bin? Do you feel tracking is accurate? Is there any round numbers or anomalies? Are they weighing their portion sizes? Is there any issues with biomarkers? Is it time of the month if it's female? If you go all that and the answer is no, will you make an adjustment? So when we talk about what makes a calorie target too low, right? Like if someone is, we often label these things like, I'd never take a guy below 1600. I'd never take a girl below 1400. They're really just random numbers. It's like 5 fruit and veg a day. It's a made up figure. So I spent 4 years working with Asian women in Hong Kong who were 43 kilos and 35% body fat. They started on 1100. Sucks to be small, right? So what makes a certain number too low? It's the feedback the client's giving you. I know a client that will fall to bits every time they go below 2500 and they lose the libido and sex drive. And I know another person, guy, same weight, they can go to 1100 calories and have no symptoms whatsoever. It's so individual. So if you've got a client that's their data's good, their resting heart rate's good, their blood pressure's good, they're not losing the libido, they're not having issues with thyroid or energy, they're performing well in the gym, they've got 3 weeks to go until a photo shoot and they want to push, fucking push them. But you don't want to push them forever. It's not, aggressive deficits aren't a bad thing. Because if you think about it, why is fasting considered healthy when you eat no food, but low calories is unhealthy? At what point do we go from unhealthy to healthy? Right? So it's not about how aggressive the diet is, it's about how long you push someone on an aggressive diet. If I put you on 1,000 calories for 3 weeks, you would just get leaner. You probably wouldn't like it, you'd be a bit hungry, but you would get leaner. If I kept you there from 3 weeks to 3 years, yeah, fuck you. In all sorts of ways. So it's about the aggressiveness, it's about the length of the aggressiveness, not the aggressiveness. And also we've got to remember, before we say something is too low, remember what's on paper is different to reality. So I've had clients guys that are on 1,100 calories, and people go, oh my God, what a negligent coach. Because if I put them on 1,100, I know they're hitting 2,000. If I put them on 2,000, I know they're hitting 3,200. If I go through this process, they have had every opportunity to tell me why their weight spiked up on Mondays despite them not tracking on Saturday and Sunday. They have had every chance. And if they do it, I still drop because I work off data, not my client's emotions. And if that means that I know they're eating more than they thought, and on paper it looks like an aggressive diet, but it means to an ends to get them into a deficit, they're not going to drop 200 calories from the cookies they're hiding from me. They're going to drop it from the avocado. Yes, I would rather them drop it from the cookies, but I have no other option here. So I was like, I don't think you need to be scared of dropping people, but I do think you need to be very aware of the deficit. If you have someone where on paper it looks dicey, just keep an eye on them and make them feel they're not burning the candle at both ends. And one of my favorite expressions is if you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. So if we see somebody who's not losing weight, it could be a thyroid issue in the same way that we heard outside your house, it could be a bunch of zebras coming down your high street. But more realistically, it's a bunch of horses. And more realistically, it's an adherence issue. So always assume mistakes. I think your client is not losing weight. The first thing you do is probably just get some food pictures for the next week and just make sure that as he's gotten into the routine, he's eating the same things, but he's just kind of like, I know it now. I don't need to weigh it. And it becomes shinier. It becomes, the dips become more. Like I had a mini diet once where I was like dipping my chicken in Centegur blue cheese dip. And then I stopped losing weight and I couldn't work out why. And it's just because I started scooping the dip. Right? Like these are the things that people do, and it's not that your client is lying to you. It's just that your client like gets complacent, and we all do it. So like I'll finish on this one here. But like if we looked at this data in the tracker, like just the first week, he's gone from 77.3 to 76.9. So he's dropped 0.4, 1% will be 0.7. This isn't a bad week, so I'd celebrate first that we were losing weight, we're on track. But what do you notice about this first week if this was your client?
Which week? Oh, the full. Sorry, I didn't realize it was a full week.
This is week one. This is week two. So just from this week.
Meals out over the weekend. He's had 3.
Yeah, so we've seen this spike up from 76.6 to 78. That's coincided with meals out. Right? When you look at these, what do you notice about these figures?
They're very consistent.
Very consistent. So we now have someone that's apparently on 1,400 calories and not hitting our target. But when you look at this and we go, these are so consistent. And it almost looks like I've given him 80 grams of carbs on his training days and 40 grams on his rest days, and he just alternated. I'm just doing the meal plan. But are you doing the meal plan accurately? Most coaches would look at this, right? But I'd start here, right? He steps really round numbers, right? But he's nailed his cardio, so I'm going to highlight him for that. Now, in this week here, you notice these 3 days of bad sleep, followed by the days where he had meals out. So we could say, look, is a bad night's sleep where your energy's low, leading you to eat more on the weekend? And that could be a sign of, we need to have better food volume, we need to work better on sleep, or whether it's the sign that we're just hammering them too much and they crash and burn. These are all questions that we can start to ask. Now, I've talked about the accuracy here. Now he's gone from 76.9 to 76.8. He's actually lost less weight. But I think it's important to shit sandwich someone here because I think we fall into the trap as coaches, myself very much included, because we see the potential. We're always looking at what could be better. And a lot of our clients will go, fucking hell, this guy's slamming me every single fucking week. Like, he's just telling me what I'm doing wrong. He's never highlighting what I'm doing right. Looking at this second week, before we look at why they're not losing weight, what would you celebrate?
I mean, his sleep's massively improved.
So we've improved his sleep. That's a good thing. There's one big thing that I would absolutely highlight that's not his sleep.
I mean, the fact his numbers that he's tracking now look accurate, and they're not.
Look at this, 1450 to 2000. A lot of coaches go, oh, you've eaten more food. What's going on? And I would go, hey, first off, thank you so much for tracking more accurately this week. This is really useful. This gives us some really important data. What we've probably noticed now is last week, we're probably eating less than we think. Yes, we've not lost as much weight this week, but now we know what you're actually eating, which gives us much more control. You're probably at around about the 2000 to 2200 mark. This is great work. And then I would dive into what needs to be better. Because now this is probably what he was eating this week too. But I've highlighted the accuracy. And now that person's going to go, oh, it's good that I was accurate. I'm not going to hide things from my coach because he's not going to tell me off. And then I could start to look at what's gone wrong. So the things I noticed that could have gone wrong here, right? It could be the fact that his food's a little bit more, right? I don't know what this hypothetical client average is, right? But we can now see the meals out have crept up dramatically. So maybe that's a conversation we have about this week. So even though he's on 2,000 calories, the problem probably isn't the 2,000 calories. It's the problem that it's probably still a little bit under because business dinners or holidays or whatever else has crept up. His steps have dropped down and his cardio has dropped to the floor. So could we got some work on, okay, this week I want you to do exactly the same with food, but what I want you to do now is I want you to get your cardio back to where it would be. How do we get that back in? And let's see if that now makes a drop in again. If it doesn't, we now start looking at this meals out. Or we start with the meals out. If that doesn't drop, we start looking at the cardio. Does that give you a few like ideas about how to manage people like this? It's nearly always adherence. And I don't think your client's lying to you. I just think he's either probably got complacent or he's got really stressed at work and he's done late shifts and he's just like gone, I'm starving, I just need to grab something. And then he might come to putting into my fitness pal and being like, I don't remember that meal I had at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm going to circle back to something you said right at the start of this. This particular client is, I think, because we have got a past relationship, he's always been, those people you just know are just heart of gold. But he's always been, and that even since we started working together, because of the not inflexibility, the flexibility that I've given him with check-ins and things, because like he might have to get out for a raid. He's always very apologetic, even when I've said it's fine. If this is going to work for you, don't worry about it. But he will always apologize, and that's made me think maybe if he has had a little bit of a slip up or an off-plan meal, then he might be a little bit worried to tell me because he thinks that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I am actually going to see him on Sunday.
A big thing you could do there as well is create, I think sometimes urgency and like having a very clear timeline in place is one of the things that gets results. We've just employed a new manager at our London gym, and that new manager is a very good friend of mine. So I was like, how did it go? And he's like, none of them are doing measurements. None of them are doing skin fold calipers. None of them are doing circumference measurements. And I was like, what? And there was no results coming out of the gym. And I'm like, I'm not saying that our coaches are better than their coaches. I'm sure they're very good coaches. The thing I found, there's no urgency. So if every 2 weeks you're going to get your fat pinched, guess what you're not going to do the weekend before getting your fat pinched? Probably have too many beers and a pizza. So like if I've now got using those check-ins, if someone's got a bit slack with check-ins, we can go, right, next 4 weeks, I want you to dial in your check-ins. Every week, let's put it in the diary. And then every week, set a target for the next check-in. And that's just that little bit of urgency just keeps people accountable. If accountability drops before diet slip-ups tend to happen. If someone's missed a couple of check-ins, and I've noticed this from when I've been a shit client, because I've been shit clients to people, right? Like, I'll drop accountability. I'll still be following it, but I won't do the check-in. I'll still be following it, but I'll stop messaging them. And then I'm like, well, I've got no accountability. Okay, I'll just have a pizza. Mm-hmm. And like, that sort of like, what are these regular micro goals? What are these regular adjustments to just keep people in the game? Stops people getting to this point in the first place. So maybe we just need that little bit of a like, right, check-in time for the next 4 weeks. Let's dial it in the diary. I'm going to check in. Let's see, you check in on a Monday. I'm going to check in on Wednesday and let you know how you're getting with this target. We set a goal of losing 0.8. To do this, I want you to go for a morning walk. Wednesday, how you get on with your morning walk? Great, awesome. Struggle with it yesterday. What made you struggle? Oh, really busy at work. Okay, next time you're busy at work, what could you do to combat that? Bam, 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 bam. Okay, great. You're at 0.3 already. I really think we can hit 0.8 by Monday. Let's double down now. Let's get that extra steps that we missed today on Saturday. Like this is that little bit of urge. It just kind of gets those hard clients that get a bit complacent. Just keeps pulling them over the line.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions you have, dude?
No, I think you've gone into great detail there, Simon.
Been
That was
useful.
good. Yes, very useful.
Awesome. I'll put the recording in the group chat anyway if you wanna go through it. If you need anything in the meantime, mate, drop me a message on WhatsApp, Instagram. Did I follow you when I looked at your stuff? If I didn't, I'm gonna do it now. Oh,
I was going to say I put my
I'll do that when my phone's recharged because I've just fallen out of battery. But yeah, if you need anything, just drop me a message and we'll go from there.
appreciate it, and I've been thankful to keep you all for myself today, mate. So yeah,
No problem,
really
mate.
good.
I've enjoyed it. Mate, have a good one. See you soon.
See you, mate. See you later.